Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Last spring my wife was taking a peek around on Facebook Marketplace and she came across an Oklahoma Joe grill and smoker combination. It was in pretty rough shape, but it was free, so I figured we could try and take it home and rejuvenate it and bring it back to life. And I think it came out pretty well. So join me today and we'll go through the process. Okay, this is how it looked when it showed up. As you can see, it's pretty rusty and crusty looking, but at least the whole outside is basically complete and it is more or less intact. The left side of this thing is a charcoal or wood smoker, and the right hand side is a gas grill with a side burner. Unfortunately, all of the gas side was completely rotted out, as you'll see, and I just decided, since we already have a gas grill, I might as well just rip all of that stuff out, and then rather than replace it with new, why not remove the center divider in this thing and make one giant smoker, because we don't currently have a smoker. So let's take this thing apart and see what we come up with. All of the little angles inside the grill that were holding up the actual grill grates were completely rotted out, so I had to cut those out, and I'm going to replace those as we go along. Right, next up, I have to try and connect the two doors together. I took the original little center bead that kind of went between the doors originally on the center divider, and I'm going to use that and put a big patch on the back and hopefully try to join these two doors into one solid unit. Alright, now that I have the little patch for the back fabricated, I can start putting this stuff all together, and we'll attach it to the inside of the doors. But before I do that, I have to grind it clean so the welder will get good contact. Alright, now that I have the patch installed on the back, I can put the original center divider back in place. And that's where those holes come in place that I drilled. I'll be able to put this on, clamp it, and then weld it with little spot welds from the back side, and it won't really mess up the front, and the front will look pretty clean and smooth. Alright, next up I have to cut a patch for the back. I'm sure you noticed I cut that giant vent out of the back of the gas grill side, but obviously if I want this to be a smoker, I have to basically contain the smoke, so a grate in the back wasn't going to help at all. So this is a little patch I'm going to put in there and weld in place on the back panel. Alright, with that back hole patched up, it's time to put some new angles in place to support the cooking grates. These little pieces that I have are actually salvaged pieces of a bed frame that a friend gave to me, so nice little upcycle here. Alright, next up, the chimney is now in the wrong place. You don't want it to be in the center of the smoker. I need to move it to the far end, as far from the firebox as I can get it. Alright, then I used a couple of self-tapping screws, and I went around the perimeter of this and welded it all up solid. Well, that might have come out a little bit ugly. Oh well. Okay, next I took off the front panel, and that's so I could access the three openings where the gas valves used to connect to the burners on the interior. And again, that's a place that smoke is going to leak out. So I went ahead and cut a few patches, ground off the front face, and welded those into place. After the holes were patched, I went ahead and reinstalled the front panels. And I decided to add a new rack on the front so I have a place to set things down. And I did this using a piece of an old bed frame again, welded across the front of the panel. And then I had this kind of rectangular shaped old pot rack also from the scrap pile. I welded those together and made myself a nice little shelf. Alright, I intend to paint this lid, so I'm going to first of all take off the thermometers, which were broken already, and get those out of the way. And I'm also going to just go ahead and weld up the old screw holes from where the logos used to attach to the front. Alright, well that pretty much wraps up all of the welding, so it was time to get this thing cleaned up so I can get it primed and painted. This paint I'm using is a Rust-Oleum brand product. It's a 2000 degree primer and a 2000 degree top coat. Okay, now I'm drilling the hole for the chimney. I would have done this earlier, but I actually didn't have the proper size hole saw, so I had to order one. Then it was time to give everything a top coat. This is a flat black, again, same Rust-Oleum 2000 degree paint, and I think it looked pretty good. All right, the one part that I did buy new is this grease tray and a little grease cup underneath. As you can see, we got this big gap here. Because this used to be the gas side, so having a gap isn't going to matter. But I'm kind of worried about the smoke kind of leaking out through all these holes up here. So I just cut a big sheet of metal, kind of put down on top. So it should still be able to drain out a little bit, but it should also help contain the smoke a little bit. This half round piece right here used to be the center wall between the gas and the charcoal halves. And what I'm going to use this for is basically like a little heat shield that can sit in here and prevent the direct radiant heat from the fire from hitting whatever's cooking. I don't know if I'm going to need this or not, but it was the perfect shape, so I figured I would cut it and at least have it. If I don't want to use it, I'll just store it down at this end where it's out of the way. All right, now it's time to switch gears a little bit and do a little woodworking. I have to make the little wooden shelf that's out in the front of the grill. This wood I'm using here is some cherry that came off of our property, and I cut it on the mill. I ran it through the planer and the joiner and everything to get it nice and smooth and flat. For a finish, I'm just going to use some mineral oil. I'm going to put on several coats and just see how much I can get to soak in. All right, here's our final result. It's been a few weeks since I've painted it and oiled it. I've put a little bit more oil here on the cherry. Just had a little bit of sun on it, starting to redden up just nicely. And there we go. I don't think that was half bad for the effort. All right, thanks for watching, everybody.